Matt, good to have you on the program today. The first question I have is really about why San Jose is a good place for facility like this. This is some of the most expensive real estate, some of the most expensive housing in the entire United States. Why San Jose?
Well, we're in a really fortunate position in San Jose to have 2 gigawatts of new power coming online over the next 4 years. We're the only city in California with that kind of new load capacity. And this particular location is really unique. It's up in North San Jose next to 237, a large freeway here, right next to our wastewater treatment facility, which means access to ample recycled water at a reasonable rate, as well as one of those new transmission lines coming into the city of San Jose. So as you mentioned, while the rest of Silicon Valley, which is largely built out, is having to turn data center projects away, we've just said yes to Prologis' proposal to put 400 megawatts worth of data centers right here in the heart of Silicon Valley. We think it's a really exciting opportunity in terms of economic competitiveness, job growth, tax base, and those infrastructure pieces are right there in place to facilitate it.
You mentioned it's right by a wastewater treatment facility. It makes me think that perhaps this wouldn't be the best place to build affordable housing. Is it fair to say that this is not a site that is zoned for that?
That's part of the benefit here, is that in much of the city, we're trying to enable housing, mixed-use development, retail, more transit-oriented development. This particular site is up next to the bay. You've got wastewater treatment. There's a landfill nearby. Fortunately, servers don't complain about odors, and so we think it's the perfect location. There's also just nowhere else in Silicon Valley with access to recycled water that's so easy, plus the availability of power. That's the biggest barrier, as you know. We've got 1,000 megawatts of new power coming online over the next 4 years in this exact location.
Yeah, explain where that power is coming from, where it's coming online. As I mentioned, one of the most read stories on the Bloomberg terminal today is about data centers that are just sitting there idle because they cannot get capacity actually hooked up to them to energize them.
That's right, and sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. San Jose is a beneficiary of a decision made by CAISO, the independent system operator here in California, many years ago, before we were talking much about AI. They were just looking at general economic growth trends and decided that San Jose had some of the highest growth potential in the entire state, and they approved new transmission lines. There's one line coming up from the south, one from the north, but they both come into San Jose. Each is 1,000 megawatts. So here's a city that has 1 million people, 12th largest city in the country, already consumes about 1.1 gigawatts of power. We have 2 gigawatts coming online over the next 4 years. That means we can triple our energy use in the city of San Jose. There's no other city in California, maybe the country, that is set up to triple its energy consumption over the next 4 to 5 years. That's a really unique position to be in. We're just blessed with this infrastructure coming online. We've, of course, said yes to it, helped facilitate it, been very supportive of it, but we're really optimistic that this means more jobs, not just data centers, advanced manufacturing, R&D labs. We're in a really strong position to capture this technological wave that we're in.
Well, the power that it will be used by these data centers, the power that's coming online, how is it being generated? I know you have that one nuclear power plant down south, Diablo Canyon on the Central Coast, and some renewables certainly too. Wind and solar. How's this energy going to be generated?
So the city of San Jose a few years ago set up something called a community choice aggregator. Essentially, that's a mouthful, but essentially the city purchases power on behalf of the users within our city limits. We have used this policy tool to sign 20-year power purchase agreements that enable us to fund new generation capacity. And because we have a commitment to cleaner energy, what we're essentially doing is buying solar and wind paired with storage. And that's the key. The intermittency issue is real, but when you build enough storage capacity, you can smooth that curve out and actually make it work. And so San Jose already has one of the cleanest renewable mixes in the country, but it's largely because we're using that collective purchasing power to invest in cleaner power, invest in innovation in the energy sector. And it's taken us a long way, and we're going to continue to go down that path because grid scale storage is the way to clean up the grid. You mentioned nuclear. I think that also has to be part of the mix here if we want to really get down our emissions. But I'm proud of the work we've done in San Jose, and there's a lot of runway left.
So is it fair to say that none of the power that will be used to energize these data centers will be, quote unquote, dirty, non-renewable power, carbon-based stuff?
Well, I can't guarantee none of it will because the power is coming off the grid. And so what we're doing is using this projected increase in demand to sign new power purchase agreements that are mostly, if not entirely, quote unquote, clean, but then that gets added to the grid and moves up the overall mix of renewable on the grid. So I can't promise you that there aren't electrons coming off the grid that are coming from nuclear or a gas plant somewhere. Certainly natural gas, nuclear are still very much part of the foundation. California isn't using coal. We're using geothermal is growing, but it's really been solar paired with storage that's where most of the growth is coming from. And the great thing about growth is you can invest in an innovation, and that's what we're doing is we're explicitly purchasing solar paired with storage so that we can increase the renewable mix on the grid overall. That benefits us and the entire state.
Mayor Mahan, any interest yet from some of the large hyperscalers or large tech companies in Silicon Valley for using this capacity? What can you tell us?
We have a very robust pipeline. PG&E did a cluster study last year that's already outdated because there's so much more demand. I suspect most of those 2 gigawatts of new power coming online will be spoken for over the next 18 months. We've got a long pipeline of interested parties, the usual suspects, the hyperscalers and the big data center developers, some advanced manufacturing uses. So PG&E will be updating their cluster study. We'll get a better look at how much demand there is in the city of San Jose, but last year showed over 800 megawatts worth of demand. I suspect it's quite a bit higher now this year, especially with this news. As you know, for this particular site, Prologis builds for the world's largest companies, the hyperscalers, the most innovative companies on Earth. And this particular location is a real win-win because it doesn't displace housing or retail or any other uses. It's underutilized land next to a wastewater treatment facility that just happens to have a lot of new power capacity and recycled water just adjacent to the site. So it's kind of the perfect place to do this.